Human cloning. The advances of science has impacted the world in numerous ways. There has been many new and improved discoveries that have been brought to our society's attention. Scientific areas involving cells and DNA, combining, processing, reproducing, and evolving were strongly noticed within these new findings. All aspects began to form the logic to the secrets of cloning. Scientists' development in cloning became a substantial investment towards humans. Creating human cloning is a positive process that can change mankind because it will help infertility, medical problems, and even benefit the lives of those who have lost a loved one. Cloning has been a massive research project for quite some time. Scientists have been trying to unlock the ability to create such an accomplishment constantly throughout the 20th century. As early as 1928, there was record of Hans Sperman performing the first nuclear transfer procedure using salamander embryos. During this time, processes of separating embryos and performing nuclear transfers were continuing to improve. Scientists gradually introduced the cloning process to subjects that were bigger and bigger. The achievements were well recognized, helping understand and enhancing the outcome of all clones. Within the last decade, cloning has been being perfected and closely analyzed. The human cloning ban and the stem cell protection bill were formed by the Senators Dianne Feinstein and Orrin Hatch in 2007. The government laws against cloning were flawed because of the accusation towards the definition were ineffective due to its inaccuracy, stating that human cloning means implanting or attempting to implant the product of nuclear transplantation into a uterus or a functional equivalent of a uterus. With or without the implantation, cloning is an asexual formulation, making the laws and bans inaccurate towards this topic, allowing for this year to have a report of a successful cloning of a human done by a somatic cell nuclear transfer with no illegal charges pressed. Acknowledging the data received from the successful experiment, scientists are trying to figure out if cloned embryos are efficient for the development, but there hasn't been any verification. There is more than one way to generate the principle of cloning. Depending on what scientists are trying to achieve through cloning will help them decide which type to use. Reproductive cloning is the genetic duplication of another organism using a process called somatic cell nuclear transfer. This type of cloning is used when trying to create an exact and complete copy of an organism. An advantage that reproductive cloning provides is an option for infertility, to give a choice to those whom are unable to conceive their own. The disadvantage that reproductive cloning is that it is still uncertain, meaning that there could still be some defects within the process. Scientists reproductively cloned a sheep who was named Dolly, and she later died from a disease at a young age. The incident was quite a coincidence to Ian Wilmnut, who was part of the team that created Dolly, considering the statement he made saying it was unlikely her illness was attributable to being a clone. Although there are some thought of deficiencies, reproductive cloning is a positive approach towards cloning. Following the beneficial value of reproductive cloning, there is also another adequate asset to establish the method. Therapeutic cloning is used for medical reasons. It is the involvement of extracting the nucleus of a cell, then inserting it into an egg that has had its nucleus removed. Stem cells are collected from the growing egg, which composes a diverse selection of a variation in cell types. Human therapeutic cloning may allow genetically replicated cells for rejuvenating medicine and transplants for tissues and organs. A fixation that this cloning would provide is that it can eliminate the factor of prescribing addictive immune-suppressing medication to patients. Helping to avoid distributing a prescription drug is a major medical elevation. A downside from therapeutic cloning is that it causes it to be difficult for the egg to survive the process. The low efficiency makes it a risky procedure, but the overall results will award miraculous medical accomplishments. There was documentation of a 9-month-old baby girl that had hemiplegic cerebral palsy, and her parents allowed the therapeutic experimental procedure with hope to improve her diagnosis. After her first infusion of stem cells, she improved by 50% only 2 months after the procedure. The potential for curing human disease with these precious cells is enormous. To cut off the research is inconceivable, was said by Dr. Robert Lanza. Finding new and better ways to obtain solutions for human betterment is an acquired development. There are several purposes as to why human cloning is sufficient. Identifying this technology gave humans the ability to formulate accessible opportunities. Situations like giving a choice to those who are infertile and unable to conceive their own children habitually. Infertility is not considered to be an actual medical problem and isn't justified enough to those who are. Opening this option also gives same-sex couples the benefit to also have their own kids. This would actually allow gay couples to have traits of both individuals with the process of cloning combined to have their own child. Composing these establishments show some positive variables of human cloning. Cloning technology has introduced many ways to help humans. The foundation of science has revealed medical breakthroughs. Dr. Mitchell Lepove states our findings offer new ways of regenerating stem cells for patients with dysfunctional or damaged tissues and organs. Such as stem cells can regenerate and replace those damaged cells and tissues and alleviate diseases that affect millions of people, meaning that human cloning is a valuable property to helping medical conditions for a significant amount of people. Using this process can relieve a large number of issues that people are struggling to fight for every day. The implication of using cloning material to cure diseases and terminally ill individuals is an undoubtedly essential scientific system needed in the medical field. The advances of cloning has proceeded to become a potential resource to humans. Scientists have discovered how to replicate a copy of loved ones that are lost. Unfortunate people who suffer from their loss can have the decision to have their missing family or friends back in their life. Those who have died can still genetically live on by using reproductive cloning. Having this possibility will provide a great impression on those who are having difficulty dealing with their misfortunate descendants. This cloning is used to better the lives of humans. Human cloning is a degrading concept for civilization to accept. The process of cloning will depreciate the value of individuality in humans. This diminishes all aspects of possessing natural traits. There has been debate that using cloning is equivalent to playing God. There isn't a benefit from cloning, therefore it will lead to a worse society populating gradually. There is more negative connotations linked to the cloning of humans. There are still many defects in experimentation of cloning. Scientists are still fixing flaws, adjusting the science. Reports were made regarding damage in psychological and social development after the procedure. Human cloning is life-threatening and has hazardous risks. The overall potential with research in human cloning has unquestionably had various beneficial reasonings that has an appropriate demand. Researching all the powerful effects connected to the fortunate capabilities of cloning is essentially a vital requirement that should be composed. The technology progress towards humans has been emphatic to our science foundation, aiding the people who cannot genetically produce their own children, find a cure to severe illnesses, and relieve the pain of lost loved ones. The purposes have been met by the exploration of human cloning.
I, for one, have had my own experimentation.